Not all attention is good attention.
Everybody I know who's married right now, they're married to broke-ass niggas.
I don't normally believe in getting emotional about situations like this. I mean, was she out of pocket? Yeah, she was out of pocket, you know. When I saw it, at first, I didn't even have a reaction, to be honest. I was like, she just wants attention. And I'm one of those people, like, some people are arguing whether or not her saying it with the A instead of the ER makes it good or bad or okay. Shit she said, not really. Does it make it better that she didn't use the hard ER? Maybe a little bit, but either way, she's out of pocket. And, you know, instead of crying out for justice, it's better to, so to speak, I don't know what justice you want. It's just better to kind of let it roll off your back, in my personal opinion.
Basically, what we all thought would happen ended up happening. Mm-hmm. She said the N-word. She got fired. And it's back to what you said. Clearly, she's just looking for attention, guys. She knows that word is obviously offensive to a lot of black people, and she chose to use it. And it's obviously a clout chase. In 2024, this is what people feel like they have to do in order to gain a following. You know, back in the day, Kim Kardashian did it with the S tape. She did that to gain a following. And then a couple years prior, you look at people like Bad Baby. She disrespected her mom on Dr. Phil. That's what she did to get a following. So I think this girl is trying to continue that trend of doing outrageous things to gain a following. But I don't really think it's going to catch on just because at this point, it's just so blatantly obvious.
Thing about it is, I know in her Instagram post she did about not apologizing and not being sorry about it or whatever, which is fine.
So a recent video of mine seems to have upset members of a certain community, and all the backlash just really made me, you know, just really do a deep dive, like do a soul search. And after all that, I still couldn't find a care.
She mentioned, oh, thank you guys, or thank you black community, because now you helped me spark my career in conservative media or something like that. So I can see her becoming like a new Tommy Lauren or whatever. So who knows?
I mean, I'm glad she doubled down. She said what she meant to say, and she didn't cry about it. So I'm not even mad at her for that. Like, you knew what you were doing, you got your consequence of it, and then you're rocking it out. So I'm not mad at that. Because at the end of the day, we all know why she said it, guys. I know there's a lot of people making excuses for it online, but if we really sum it up, like, what reasons does a white person really have to say the N-word? There's the, oh, they can say it, but I can't say it thing that, you know, a lot of people use as an excuse. But to me, that's kind of like a 3-year-old argument. It's like you tell a kid not to touch something and they're just going to touch it just because you told them not to touch it. Like, did you think her using the N-word would make her cool and fit in with other black people? Like, she'd get a giant hug from the black community? No.
I think she was...
I'm just naming all the reasons.
Oh, okay.
And then you have the last reason why a white person would say it, and that's just generally to offend a black person. So out of all those reasons, do you think any of those reasons is a valuable reason to say the N-word online to potentially offend the black people that you actually do like? No. So, guys, it's clear cut.
I personally don't like the whole, oh, you can say it, but I can't. Anyone can say whatever word they want to say. Period. Like, it's not illegal for a non-black person to say the N-word. So when you say, oh, you can say it, but I can't, that's just a matter of personal respect you have for somebody. So if it's a white person that says, I'm not going to say it, they're choosing not to say it out of respect, not because they can't. So I think personally as a community, the whole point of black people starting to say the N-word a lot is because they wanted to take away the power of the N-word, right? So I'm like, that's one of the reasons at least. And I get the idea. For me, instead of trying to force a group not to say it and you trying to say it over and over and over and over again, expecting them not to want to say it and think that's going to help something, I think that instead we should take the approach of anyone that, again, unpopular opinion off the top of my head, not saying I want non-black people to use the word. I'm saying that perhaps if as a group somehow we decided, okay, we're no longer going to react to it, we're no longer going to scream at the top of our lungs if someone non-black says it and try to get them fired or blacklisted or blackballed, instead being like, well, whatever. Eventually the power, the potency is going to erode, because if they get over it, it's like you just made the analogy of the toddler touching the stove. Obviously don't let your toddler touch your stove, but let's say a different analogy.
I mean,
letting the toddler bump their head, right? Like, I'm trying to think of a good analogy here. Like, my point is this.
They're doing it because you tell them not to do it.
Exactly. And so if you stop having a visceral reaction about it, the ones that want to use it to hurt you, eventually they'll stop if they say, oh, you effing, and you're like, oh, okay. I want number 5, please. I mean, they're going to stop saying it eventually.
To me, it's kind of like always been like a inside joke within the black community to me. For example, like you ever have a friend and let's say you might call your friend an idiot or you might call your friend a dummy, but like it's all out of love. You really don't mean it offensively. You would never walk up to a guy that you didn't know and call him like an idiot or dummy without expecting a fight, would you? Probably not. And that's kind of like how I see the N-word. I just see the N-word just being something within the black community that people kind of say it as kind of like a term of endearment, like as a jokingly way to make fun of it. I don't know. I think every culture has their things within that culture that sounds weird to other cultures. And I think within the black people in America, that's just a subculture that we have within America. And that's something that they have. Because here's the thing. I have friends that are Asian. I have friends that are Hispanic. I have friends that are not black. And they make fun of each other's ethnic features all the time. Those are jokes that I don't put myself into. And it doesn't diminish anything. It's not like, oh, well, they made fun of that, let me do it. Like, I just don't see the point of doing it. And I don't know. To me, I just kind of always thought it was childish. Like, oh, well, they can say it and I can't say it. Like, there's just no point of saying it. And not only that, but there's a lot of black people who don't say it either. Like, I think a lot of people look at the media and they're like, oh, well, these rappers and such say it. I mean, well, those are those rappers. That's not everybody. That doesn't make up everybody in the black community. Are there still a good amount of black people that say it? Yeah, sure. But ultimately, I mean, I just don't get the point of someone saying it knowingly that you're going to offend somebody that's a part of a certain community, because every community has things. It may not be the N-word. It might be something else that they call themselves as a term of endearment that when an outsider says, they kind of look negatively towards. So, yeah, I mean, that's just the way that I view it, and it's obviously a clout chase.
Yeah, I mean, that's one way to view it. Term of endearment, I mean, we can agree or disagree on that one. I mean, I guess I see it in my whatever, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's like when I hear people say it, it's normally like in a jokingly kind of funny way or that kind of manner.
That's okay. But again, that's within the black community, I say. But I'm focusing on the standpoint of black people getting offended by it when a non-black person says it. My take on it is, how do you die that down so it's not such a thing? So that it loses its power.
I mean, here's my thing. Even if they were to kill the N-word, like no one said it, someone would find something else to say and people would take it wrong. I mean, it just, I don't see it ever really being a thing that's just going to change. I think whenever someone uses something that's outside that community, people are not going to be a fan of it. That's the way that I see it.
I agree with that. The N-word is different. There's a lot of racial slurs and rude remarks you can make about any group, but they're all a little less well known or historically rooted than the N-word, right? So that's what I'm saying. That's one word where it's like, oh, it's just so it's almost to the point where it's like, my point is, the more you try to stop people from saying it that aren't black,
the more they're going to press the red button.
Exactly, and the more it's going to be, oh, I know that's going to get him. So again, all right. If the point of using it as a term of endearment, however that started, was to be like, okay, let's take the power away from the word and make it ours.
Yeah.
That's a first step. But it didn't solve the problem of, you still get offended when a white person says it or a non-black person says it, depending on who the non-black person is. Us not reacting to it would go a long way, I think.
I mean, I just think the people that say it like that want that reaction.
Yeah.
And they would just come up with another word that would mean that same word. So like that's why I'm saying, to me it doesn't really matter. It's just one of those things that I just think is part of black American culture.
Hold on, I get you right, but let's put it this way.
Yeah.
If a white person or non-black person was like, oh, you N-word, versus, oh, you ghetto person, or oh, you I don't know, many things they could say, nothing has the same effect as the N-word. So they could try to try to make something new up, but it's not going to have the same historical significance. It hasn't been around long enough. They might call you a nappy head something. It just doesn't hit the same.
I see what you're saying. If they make up another one, it's not gonna hit.
No.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing about word. Because think about, for example, the word thought.
Yeah.
Remember, the word thought like 10 years ago meant like you had a thought in your head. Now, if you were to call a woman a thought, they're gonna get offended. So it didn't take that long for that word to be offensive to a lot of women. Or if you get called a ratchet, people take offense to that. And that's a couple years, like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you said a ratchet, people would be like, no, I don't have one of those. Like, you need help, you need to go to a mechanic?
I kind of see where you're coming from. I kind of see. I mean, yes, there are gonna be new offensive words made up every day, but again, I mean, it won't be the same.
I mean, I understand your main point. Your main point is just to try to take the power away from it, and then to not let people get underneath your skin by just saying a word. Don't let that kind of get you out of an opportunity.
It's like a trump card almost. Like y'all could go back and forth all day and call each other all kinds of stuff. And as soon as they say that word, oh, now you want to slap them or something like that. Dang, man, like no, just. Yeah. Why not go off topic anyway?
But I mean, listen, it boils down to anybody can say anything. So yes. I mean, can any white person say the N-word if they want to? Yes, they can really say it. They can say it.
They made it
that
up.
doesn't mean that there's not gonna be any consequences to that.
They might get slapped.
So does that mean I'm gonna feel bad for those consequences? No, I'm not gonna feel bad. But
speaking of that, right? So you feel bad? Well, no, you don't give a dang about that.
I don't feel bad at all. I mean, she obviously used it for a reason to be offensive. Like I said, I listed the reasons why a white person would say the N-word. So I mean, if any of those reasons is not a valid reason to offend somebody, so I just don't see the point.
I want to pose one question to you here.
Yeah.
So, does context matter? Because let's say she said exactly what she said, but maybe she looked a little bit different. Like she came from a different community, and she said the exact same thing. Oh, I forgot what she said. Like, I don't mind having a broke N-word or something like that. Like, do you think that would really bother people? Like, let's say, what's that girl's name that was with Wiz Khalifa? Amber Rose. Let's say Amber Rose had a video.
She's racially ambiguous. I don't even know what Amber Rose is.
She's white.
I don't know who she is. Is she white? I thought she was mixed. I didn't know what she was.
Okay, let's say I don't know.
I mean, dude, I feel like if we all know the most offensive person to say is a white person. Let's just be real. Right. If a Spanish person says it, there are some people gonna be offended. There's some people that aren't gonna care. If an Asian person says it, there are gonna be some people who are offended. It's not gonna sting as hard as a white person. Let's just be real.
Yeah.
You know. And that's not to say that like there's any hate towards white people or anything like that, because I do believe that there are some white people that get hated on for no reason just because they're white, and I'm like, they didn't do anything, man. It's not that serious.
Yeah, this video's not about that. So, I mean, of course not. This is about her.
In this case, yeah, I mean, she deserves the hate. She's good.
Yeah.
So ultimately, am I gonna say she made a bad decision? Absolutely, but to her, she made a good decision. So,
right. Oh yeah, that's true.
Because she got what she wanted.
Right.
So what are you gonna say? Good decision, bad decision?
Bad decision.
Bad decision. No. Okay. Yeah. All right, decision makers. If you think she made a good decision, leave a like, leave a comment. If you think she made a bad decision, which you're probably right, then leave a like, leave a comment. All right, decision makers, don't say the N-word.